Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Dragonheir SilentGods video. In today's video, we're going to tackle another one of the chief challenge bosses from Season 3, and this time we're going to be talking about the lightning boss. Okay, so this boss it might be known by you guys because it's basically the ancient battlefield boss. Okay, so it might be a little bit tricky considering that you want to use radiant damage because, well, the two top DPS types for Radiant are gonna be the new Aura ones, which I'm not sure exactly if they count as buffs, but I think they do not actually count as buffs. But I don't have enough Aura people, like I have 0 legendaries, and I'm not sure the epics are good enough, so I'm not using that. And then the second one that you're gonna use for this one, that can be used for this one, is gonna be the rally one. However, because like I said, it's the ancient battlefield boss, this can be tricky because when the boss does his ultimate, he basically just removes all of your buffs, and rally does count as a buff, so that's what makes it tricky. But I do have a pretty fun team that, I've been testing the rally teams here back and forth. But I saw one video of a fellow content creator, Dream Sales. Shout out to Dream Sales. He actually had an interesting combination of people and an interesting team that he used for this one. So I kind of tried to use this similar one, but basically the important thing for this one were the support. So let me show you exactly what I used, and then I can talk a little bit through like how the fight goes, what you want to look at, and all of that. So I'm basically using Jorn. He's just amazing for this fight. Basically brings attack penalty, and then he can damage himself, but then that's really good because with his passive, he can boost the ultimate energy of all the allies. And then on the ultimate himself, he reduces the boss's ultimate energy and dispels all their buffs. So because of the ancient battlefield boss that puts up increased attack and the increased defense, you obviously want to have somebody that removes buffs. So in this case, if you don't have Jorn, you would basically try and look for somebody else that is part of this pairing. If you look for Iron Radiance, that either brings buff block. So you do have a Victor would be amazing in here. You do have Lico that could help with buff block and some healing. Then you have Ferrar as well that can help. I guess these are the top 3 ones that you could use for buff block. And then if we look at the other thing that you could use is somebody that steals or dispels, let me see, what is the spell? Steal buff. For example, you have Dane. Dane could be good as well because Dane on the ultimate dispels 2 buffs from the target. You could use this one. Or let's see, where's the other one? So now steal buff, dispel. Where's the dispel buff? Dispel control, dispel. Where would it be? Why am I not seeing this? So dispel shield, steal shield, buff. Okay, buff dispel. There we go. I could not read it. So again, you kind of see some of the usual ones: Victor, Lico, Ferrar, Dane. Even, I guess, Livia, but I'm not sure I would use her. So if she dispels a buff, she has a chance to place buff prohibition, but that's not good enough. Then glowing, let's see, what does he do it? Does he do it on a battle skill? 75% chance. Where does he do the dispel? Okay, so he hits 3 times, and then he has a, what's that? 75% chance to dispel a buff. So if you're desperate and don't have any of the other ones, you can use him. But I think Zadie does the same thing. 100% chance, so Zadie would be the best one, to dispel 1 buff. Do keep in mind you would have to choose to dispel the increase attack or the decrease attack. So that's the first one. Second one is good old Ardreth, okay? She's just amazing. She's a support. And one thing that, I did not know much in the past, but this might be massive news for you guys. Ardreth can actually use the Witch's Remains. Yes, she can, because basically when she casts her ultimate, she enhances her basic attack. So every time she does basic attack afterwards, she can land the decreased defense from Witch's Remains, which is massive. And then when it comes to DPS, I have Filto, Lorenthil, and Hegio. You will obviously try to use your best DPS in here. The thing that you definitely want to keep in mind, let me just run this team and show you, but you want to keep in mind, but because it's that boss, that first of all, the person who's going to be furthest back, which in my case is Jorn, is going to be the one taking the single target stun, kind of like, just the standard ancient battlefield boss, and that's what it's the same principle, and I guess I'm just going to use it now. But it's the same principle. Whoever's going to be in this position or furthest back is going to be the one that will be taking the stun. So you're going to want to try and get them resist or bring somebody that maybe can deal with control effects or you have control immunity. So that's that's the number one thing. Then second thing, you see it does happen. Sometimes he does take the stun. You see this one, The next one, what the boss does is he switches into sword form, dispels all of the debuffs, and then he does put attack up on himself. And that's when things get scary. If he has attack up on himself, you're going to want to try and remove it, because he's going to hit really hard with that one. And then the ultimate, he switches in the shield form, which he removes all the buffs when he does that, and then he puts defense up. But as you saw, we dealt with it pretty easily because of the fact that we do have Jorn that can keep dispelling those buffs, so that's going to help us a ton. The tricky thing, or I guess the thing that I'm trying to do to maximize my damage, is you see that I'm manualing at least Felto so that he always does the ultimate when there's defense penalty, or at least when there's not, you know, defense up on the boss. But you could easily just let this be full auto, and it should pretty much work just about the same. See, that one was dispelled. I'm waiting for the Lorenthiel to buff. I always want to have rally up, and then I do this. The nice thing is that the team, for example, that Dreamsail used for the same fight is he did not have Felto. He used Welby as his main DPS, and then he used the other one was Alton. So he had Lorenthiel, Alton, and Welby. Obviously, having somebody like a Lorenthiel is going to be the best, you know, best case scenario, because he does give everybody rally up, he does give everybody attack up, so he's basically the best enabler from my point of view for this for the rally team. So if you don't have him, it might be tricky. However, it can still work. It's a really tough boss otherwise, I'm not gonna lie. It's really tough because of the way that rally works and the way that they boost their ultimate energy and all that. So this might be a lot, this might be a lot more difficult than the usual ones to actually deal with, because again, see, he removes the rallies and then people do their hits and they don't do enough damage. But as long as you keep in mind and you control, you know, the attack penalties from the buffs, the defense penalty. If you can try and control the buffs, which can be tricky, obviously, like I said, with using rally, it can be tricky. But if you can manage to somehow deal with all that, it's you're gonna be able to do it. So it's tough. Like I said, this is one of the tougher ones. I'm not going to lie. This is one of the ones that I did not expect to do 22 million, more than 22 million. I basically did with this team when I just did full auto something like 30 to 40 million. I did use Ardreth, you know, I did use the usual Lorenthiel, Felto, and Hedgehog, the ones that I had. So I'm pretty confident though that if you use the, you know, specific key heroes that I said, not these ones that I'm showing you specific in this team, but the ones that I gave you examples of replacements, if you're gonna use those ones, at least I pretty much guarantee that you can do 22 million every week. Because you know what, you might just need a bit of timing, you might just need to do the ultimates at the right time, and you should pretty much beat it. But as you can see, I'm doing pretty well. I'm already at 40 million. Again, you can see that I keep timing and keep waiting to make sure that I have rally up before I make sure that the defense penalty is up, and then I use the ultimate from Felto. I might, you know, maybe I should try and do the same thing for Hedgehog, but it's a little bit too tough to try and control a lot of them, so I just choose to prioritize controlling my main DPS in this team, like I said, which is gonna be Felto. And basically by the end of this, if I'm not mistaken, my damage goes to something like close to 80 million, and I'm pretty happy with that, because if you're somebody that tries to you know, compete towards the leaderboards, you're gonna really want to do that. So I'm just gonna stop this fight right here. There's still a minute and a half. I'm not gonna keep you showing. I didn't, you know, I missed some ultimates at the right time, but you can see the principle of this one. Having lots of turn meter boost from Jordan is amazing. Having the survivability from Ardreth is amazing. And one key thing that you want to keep in mind is if you see that you die too early, then just don't use like I did, okay? Just don't use the aura from Lorenthiel. That's the crit damage. Just switch over to the defense aura and you should be just fine, because the 30% defense amazing. Now let me quickly show you the builds. So like I said, Ardreth is in Witch's Remains, so gave her enough accuracy, then as much defense as I could, and she's in the Puppeteer set, because this one, she's gonna give defense to everybody around her based on her defense. So this is an amazing set. Another thing that I saw Dreamsails do, and I did the same because it's an amazing idea, is I got the same set on Jord. If you cannot do it, obviously get something else, get Molly's Blessing or whatever, but this set actually helps because it gives you 60 resist, and what I have on my Jordan is I have the Hourglass, but If you don't have the Hourglass, then you can use the Spiritual Incense Burner. It's going to help with your ultimate at least, because you're going to come back to it just about the same time. He has some defense, but I did need 300 resist, or like, you know, basic, I think around 250 or like 230 would be fine, because you get an extra 100 from Arduous passive, and then 270 accuracy. Again, the accuracy might be overkill because we only need 270 accuracy. So because we get a 50 from the elemental affinity bonus, that means if you take that from the 270, you need only 220 accuracy. So that should be a lot easier to get. But again, he's in the Puppeteer, and then I actually gave him this one, that because I had the resistance one. The wearer has an additional 50% chance of dispelling one buff from the enemy when inflicting debuffs on them. So this one can help on his battle skill. He inflicts a debuff. With the battle skill, he has a chance to dispel one of the buffs. So that's a good idea to keep in mind. Or at the same time, if you don't have this one, you can use the other mythic one, which is this one. The wearer is immune to incoming stun. So basically, you're not going to need to worry about the resist. You're going to lose the ultimate energy, but at least you can skip the resist requirement. Then when it comes to DPS, I have Lorenthiel with some damage and then some skill haste in the Emperor's Might. I'm going to say it from now, Emperor's Might is the best set this season when it comes to the you know, to the bosses, at least not Vortex. For Vortex it doesn't work, but for these chief challenge bosses, Emperor's Might is going to be your best bet. So Lorenthiel, nothing too special. I do have this one on him because I have some skill haste to give him a little bit more attack from skill haste. I didn't have a better one, so that's what I used. Then Hedgehog again, Emperor's Might with Ravatrix's Roots. That's gonna be amazing. And I did get lucky to have a crit rate glove in the one that basically do more damage to targets under defense penalty, which we're gonna have. So, you know, he has some decent stats. Again, you see, it's nothing too crazy for Hedgehog. It's nothing too crazy. 130 crit damage, 96% crit rate. It's not nothing too impressive. I don't have the best sets in the world yet. I'm still farming. The best one for me is actually Filto, 100% crit rate, 4k attack, 210 crit damage. Again, same principle, Emperor's Might, plus I do have a crit damage glove in the set that, again, you do more damage against targets with defense penalty. And I'm actually using this. I'm actually using Ozul's exclusive artifact, not because of the effect, because I gain nothing from here, but because it gives him 40 crit rate. Makes it easier for me to get a crit rate in other places, get into 100% crit rates, and I do get some attack. If you don't have this one, the next best thing from, you know, free-to-play perspective would be the Eyeball. If not, obviously there's tons of other damaged legendary artifacts. Choose whichever is going to be the best one for you. And again, even with these, they're not the best ones. I can still get improvements, but overall, I'm really happy with this team. Like I said, this team does around 80 million. I'm not showing and I'm not saving it this time around because, well, I still need to farm the whole week. It just reset. I always use my fights. I do my fights towards the end of the week in case I get some more improvements. Oh yeah, when it comes to presets, there's nothing, okay? There's nothing. You can try and just put presets, but because there's so much ultimate energy going on, you just let it full YOLO. So I would not say, oh yeah, do some preset. Just let them full YOLO, let them do as much damage as you can, and hopefully you're going to be able to tackle this boss and get at least the 22 million. But anyway, this is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you all for watching. As always, if you do enjoy my content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel to see when I upload next, and we're going to see you on the next one. Peace, love, take care, everyone. Bye, guys.